Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, or team up against a guest and battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Hello, Podderoonies. Yes, welcome to another episode of our spoiler specials. This one is dedicated to Nope, and yes, I know what you're wondering. Why the hell did it take you so long to do a Nope episode? Well, it's only just come out over here in August, middle of August. So, you know, in the States it came out in July. So we had to wait a month, you lucky bastards. So
it's not fair.
Yeah. And, of course, we have finally taken the probes out of our asses and decided to do it now. And, of course, I'm joined by our spectacle-obsessed friend, Boaz Dix. How are you, sir?
I'm fine.
Good, good.
I'm joined by Martin the Martian.
Oh, come on. That's an obvious joke. Cool. This is probably one of my most anticipated films, other than maybe Top Gun Maverick. I'm a big fan of Jordan Peele. Absolutely loved Get Out. I think it's one of the best films of the last decade, in my opinion. Us, I really liked as well. I know you're not too fond on Us, Boaz.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, Us was shit.
Yeah.
But I still quite liked it. Like, Lupita Nyong'o, incredible in that movie. But yeah, this one I really liked as well. Boaz, I'm guessing you really like this one?
Yeah, man, I loved it. You know, I have maybe like just a few problems with it, but
yeah,
by and large, thoroughly enjoyed it. Still in the positive category. I also think, like, you know, so we mentioned this a bit, or you mentioned it a bit, you know, but yeah, I didn't like Us. And I will say that the main reason I didn't like it, you know, where this succeeds and I think Get Out succeeds, where I think Us failed, is Us just wasn't scary to me. It just wasn't. I think the setup was scary. Like the setup, like to the drama, you know, like before anything happened in Us, it set the bar high. Like you're like, oh man, something's going to happen. But I just didn't feel when the plot got running that I was scared. There was no point where I kind of felt fear for our protagonists or anything like that. So I just didn't find it a scary film. Get Out, you know, had its moments. I think this is, in my opinion, one of the scariest ones he's done.
Oh yeah.
And even though there's a lot of comedy, there's a lot of like feel good stuff, and there's a lot of build up. Like it takes a while to get going, but I think once it gets going, there are some truly not only like visually spectacular moments, but there is some genuinely horrifying things in here, you know.
Yeah.
Like absolutely horrifying. Yeah, there's some bits where I was freaked out. Like and some of that is jump scares, but some of it is just like situations where even just how it's shot where you're like, oh my god, this is fucking this is really horrible. But it's not like gratuitous. No. Like it does cut off before the gore happens, you know, so it kind of tries to shield you from that.
He's not Ari Aster, who just when, you know, the guy falls off the cliff in Midsummer and he just has this shot of the guy's head caved in. He's like, yep, you're going to look at that for a while. I'm like,
yeah.
You know, it's not that.
So, because this film does some really interesting things with the gore. When a lot of the horrible stuff happens, it's like, yeah, the camera does like to just cut away. You know, I'll give you like some like precise moments when the thing first, I think is like the first really, I think this is the part where I'm like, man, this film is really getting into gear, and it's promising what it's it's delivering on what it's promised. When the ship or creature like eats the 40 people at Jupiter's Ranch,
yeah,
and there's such a good scene because you can barely see the thing, everybody's looking up. You know, there's like, they're whirling around, but you don't even see them whirling around because it's all focused on Jupe.
Stephen Young's character.
Yeah, and then just before he goes up and everybody else, it like cuts, And then, but I thought it was going to cut like to some other scene, but it cuts to the inside of the belly of the creature,
Yeah.
and they're all getting swallowed up. And then it cuts, and I was like, "Wow, that's really fucked up."
Yeah.
And then it cuts to one of them moving into its digestive tract,
Yeah.
and then it cuts again, and I'm like, "Whoa!" Like that was just so intense because I'm like, "Ooh, ooh," because it's like it's cutting just before the nasty stuff, but then it cuts to like more of the.
Yeah.
Like some really other crazy shit, and then it cuts away, and I was just like, man, this is intense.
It's really interesting how Jordan Peele does that, because it doesn't cut to it straight away. There's a moment of black, and then it goes to it. So there's just a moment of pause, and then it gets to it. But what's so fascinating about that is, it's so intense, visually and sound wise. The screaming is so intense, and that's part of the scariness of the. Which turns out to be like an actual organism, an alien.
Yeah.
It's the screaming from it is quite terrifying. But in those shots, it's very simple. It's just like two, like, I don't know, plastic sheets, very shallow depth of field in the focus on the person, a load of blood, and obviously great lighting. That's about it, and it looks incredible. You could probably do that at home and make it half decent.
And it's so freaky. Yeah. Just, a couple of bouncy castles and, some curtains and but it is genuinely really terrifying, that entire sequence. And then when it gets to the house, like, it just doesn't let up. That whole scene was just crazy. And like the screaming through the clouds and its presence over the house, like they're freaking out inside the house. And then like wide shots of the house, and it's just this shadow over the house. And when the screaming stopped, that was crazy as well, because they're just wailing and screaming and screaming. And then it does a quick shot to inside like the opening of the beast, so where they they went up. I don't know why I'm doing that, but where they went up the creature. And, screaming, and then it pulsates in the inside, so you don't even see them get chewed, but just its mouth pulsates, and then all the screaming stops, just like abruptly. That was so freaky.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that was nice. From the
there was some cool things in that sequence, like the rain of blood and,
down the window.
Oh, man, that was some fucking horrific stuff.
I think that one of some great shots is when like Daniel Kaluuya is in the car, and you see random lightning strikes. And you just see all the rain and the silhouette, kind of the silhouette of the alien. Yeah, that just looked amazing.
Yeah, that was visually stunning. Do you mean where he like opens the door slightly and looks up?
Yeah.
Before he gives the titular nope, like I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I think that was one issue I had with the movie, was that they kind of used the nope joke a bit too much.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Just one joke too many of just nope, but that's just a very mild thing. But
yeah, no, I agree with that. They do run up to that quite a few times, where I think even in scenes way before that, where stuff is happening, like I think where the first horse, he doesn't even really understand what's going on. It gets taken around, it runs off. And then there's a storm and all this other shit. He kind of does a nope joke there, and then much later where they're trying to get some video evidence of it, and the fucking insects in the way. And then there's another nope joke. So they do keep going round to that, and I do agree. It kind of wears a bit thin. Yeah, I think maybe just have that one moment of it. And as much as I kind of liked even, at the end of that horrifying sequence where he says nope, I thought maybe this is not the time to joke or say anything that's kind of remotely funny. Like everything up to that is like just like levels of horrifying on top of horrifying. And then even the reveal of the creature just above his door when he kind of like opens the car door and looks up, and you don't see anything, and a lightning flash, and you see kind of like its silhouette. It's the shape, and that looked amazing. And then to maybe don't undercut that with a joke, like just kind of leave that there.
I think that one works quite well for me, but the jump scare of the fake horse, the white horse, like crashing through the wind shield, that was an amazing jump scare there.
Yeah, no, that was good. And I think that was done right because, yeah, you thought everything was over. You know, you've seen, yeah, and then that happens. I thought that was really good. I thought it was coming for him or something. Like, I thought, you know, it was a tentacle or some shit. So that was pretty good.
Yeah. This film is pretty funny too. Like, Jordan Peele is showing his comedy chops quite well here as well. When like the guy crashes his bike head over heels when, you know, the electricity all goes out, when the alien is around, you know, he just does a big wide shot and just a comical scream as he goes over. That was pretty funny. When Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer are like doing the hand slap really fast. that was funny. And even like Angel, the guy who plays Angel, the tech guy doing the cameras, like during that house sequence, he just randomly gets a knife and hides under the table. I'm like, that ain't gonna help you, dude. So he is kind of playing on like stupid character tropes a bit to kind of make it funny, intentionally funny, not seemingly creating characters that are intelligent but doing stupid things. No, he's creating stupid characters to laugh at them, you know, which I found was quite clever. And even, you know, when Daniel Kaluuya near the end is trying to save the guy on the bike, he's like, no, take a picture first of me on the floor injured. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. It, you know, again, you're like laughing at a stupid character. Which I quite liked. But one thing that I found really fascinating about this movie, I don't know if you found this, that's kind of stuck in my head a lot, is the Gordy scenes with the chimp.
Yeah.
That first scene, that first shot you see in the movie is on this like Hollywood TV stage, and Gordy has seemingly killed everyone on the stage. And it's certainly a horrifying spectacle to look at that. But I don't know if you notice, there's a shoe on its heel right in the center of the shot, just standing upright. You know, that's not possible.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this blurring of two different spectacles, of one with the Gordy stuff, which is horrifying, but kind of a natural thing. Like eventually, like Gordy is going to freak out and just, you know, kill everyone because they're abusing him essentially to make him do what they want. You know, that spectacle is very horrifying, but the shoe thing right in the middle is very quiet but very mysterious. And it's kind of just the blurring of these two very different spectacles, but yet the shoe thing is very easily missed, and you kind of come back to that later in the flashback scene, which again was really well done from like Stephen Yeun's character's as a child perspective. That was great. And he kind of goes tighter in on that shot, and it's kind of just like, again, like, are you seeing this? The real mystery here, not the Gordy stuff, isn't the real mystery. The real mystery here is the shoe thing, and it's just so fascinating that Jordan Peele is not giving you any answers with that. He's like, nope, I'm just going to leave it there. It's up to you what that means.
They're strange shots, and I would say mainly because you're not exactly sure what the fuck the purpose of focusing on a standing shoe is. It's like a shoe is the most
mundane thing.
You know, it's the most mundane thing. I mean, if you think of it's a chimp attack on the stage. I mean, no, that should be your focus. But it tries to kind of obscure that, you know, whenever it goes after somebody, like that's just off camera. But yeah, that Dupe's character was just focusing at the shoe. I've heard like theories about the shoe.
Okay.
Which are kind of interesting. So one is that it's kind of a demonstration that it's like he's not remembering it correctly because he actually has that that shoe in his collection.
Yeah,
so it's maybe, you know, it's kind of a blending of, you know, his memory with, you know, collector's items and stuff like that from the incident. I heard another one which I actually quite liked, and it was it's a visual representation of the metaphor waiting for the shoe to drop, you know, so waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
And I quite like that. If that's like literally in this film, everybody is waiting for nature to do something amazing so they can catch it on camera.
Yeah.
And, you know, I guess that would make sense. You know, you have like this visual representation of, you know, you're wanting the shoe to drop and then you see a shoe. And then, you know, that this comes just before that he thinks he might be killed by the ape. So it could be that's maybe what he's expecting, and then waiting for the shoe to drop. Or it could be, as you say, like just like seeing like the amazingness in just kind of the most mundane things. You know what I mean? Like that's surreal that it's standing on its edge.
Yeah.
It's also very surreal that an ape would go mental, or a space creature would start eating a town, or anything like that. And these are very natural things.
Again, you have the same thing with the clouds. Like the alien just kind of hides itself in a cloud that just stays still, whereas everything else,
exactly.
all the, just normal natural weather just keeps going. The mysterious in the mundane kind of thing.
Yeah, and because like the cloud is not a special looking cloud, it looks like a cloud. It's like the most unassuming thing. Because I even thought that was an interesting shot where you have a shot of the sky, and then Angel's character drives on to them and looks straight past them, and they're like, "You're trespassing," and he just looks straight up and he's like, "Oh my god, it is real." And you're like, "What the fuck are you looking at? It's just a cloud." And then because I was just so like, "What the hell?" But then he goes over the footage, and I thought that was a really great twist. Yeah, it's hiding in the cloud. That cloud doesn't move. So it could be also, that there is wonder in the mundane. I think you can get a lot of things. And because it is a strange directing choice to just focus on something, get the camera to focus on something that's got nothing to do with the plot. But I guess that makes people talk about what could the hidden meaning be. Maybe it has no meaning. Maybe it's just a shoe.
Yeah, possibly. But again, I think I like that theory of kind of waiting for the shoe to drop thing, of just like we're always constantly waiting for a spectacle kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like how we consume movies, like we have a trailer for a film, that's kind of like the shoe on end, and you're just waiting constantly for the movie to come out, when the shoe drops kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like it's kind of Jordan Peele's like Space Baby thing in 2001, it's kind of a weird spectacle, but with no meaning. You kind of got to work it out for yourself kind of thing. Absolutely. I really love that. I find, Stephen Young's character really interesting as Jude, because I feel like he's very much suppressing what happened to him with what he saw with Gordy and the chimp killing all those people, and yet he still has this kind of obsession to put on a show, to put on a spectacle. And he's kind of, when he's talking about it to Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer in that hidden museum place, he's just like, you know what, SNL can explain it better than I can. The comedy sketch is what I want to tell you, not the real thing. It
is kind of strange. Like he's monetizing this horrible thing that happened to him, like where he's even saying like, this couple paid me $40,000 to stay in this room, and he's keeping all of this stuff from this savage attack, and he's making buck off of it. He's made a name for himself off of it, but it's very clear he has PTSD that he just doesn't want to address.
No,
which is very strange. I actually think he was kind of like an underutilized character. Like he's so important. Really? Yeah, I do feel so. Like I kind of wish he was in there more.
Do you feel like he was killed off too early?
Yeah, I would kill him off like a lot later, or if not at all. I just found like they dedicate so much time to the Gordy incident and to his importance in the plot. And I did feel it was kind of disappointing that, his first show with the alien is like his last time on Earth, and you don't even see him die. I just felt that was kind of, I would have liked to see more of him, especially if you're delving into his life, his backstory, his emotions, and yet he feels like a side character. I think that was kind of a disservice to him.
I didn't miss him, to be honest, because I felt like he was there's an argument to say he's got PTSD, but like he's still trying to profit off of spectacles of like using animals as a spectacle. So I'm like, he's alright to die. So
yeah, and he kind of should know better as well. But yeah, I don't know. Like I think I would have treated it differently personally. I would have either had him more of a main character, or if not, set him up as like the antagonist rather than. I think they build him up and then he's just a victim. So, I probably personally would have done it differently, that he had, more to do in the end.
There's also an element of this film in the details about like giving people a spectacle by any means necessary. You know, you have that scene near the beginning on the during the commercial, the Hollywood commercial, and like people are trying to just get the horse, you know, to turn him around. And I think the director says, "Can you tell the horse we're ready now?" I'm like, well, okay, he's not a human.
Yeah.
You know, and people just ignore his advice. Hang on, don't stand at the back. But, you know, that's kind of the obvious things with that. The obsession of like dangerous spectacle.
And I mean, do you remember even when they kind of get him off the job, it's because the horse can't be controlled. Like he does tell them, don't stand behind it. But she has to stand behind it because that's what the director wants for his shot. Yeah. And the horse nearly fucking takes her head off. You know, it kicks backwards. And they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And so they decide on CGI. I think if I were to sort of, because we talked about this afterwards, if I were to sort of, you know, bottle what I think the theme of this film is, I do think it's about spectacle, but I think it's more so about spectacle. I mean, I guess you could say like spectacle in general, but I would say the examples of the film, it's like nature.
Yeah.
That's what I would take from it. So I would liken it to, you know, storm chasers, you know, zoos, people who want, you know, nature to do something amazing, tidal waves, anything like that. And it's just the fact that, nature can be spectacular, but you've got to show it respect. It's not, you know, a clown that will play on cue. So it's like they don't show the chimpanzee respect. Like, he can be entertaining, but this is a fearsome creature. You need to show it respect. They didn't respect it, and it killed everybody. Those guys didn't respect the horse, and it nearly took their head off. And nobody respected the creature, especially even Jupe, because Jupe wants to show it to people by like, here's a horse. I can make it like do what I want on command. I'll give it a horse. It'll beam up the horse. You guys pay me.
This horse ain't stupid.
But it's and the horse wasn't stupid. The horse stayed put. Like, you know, this creature is just, it's an allegory for nature, and it's like, listen, man, if you're not careful, you don't show it its due respect, you know, it will take you out, and that's what it did.
I do feel like there's extending onto that. There is an element of like our obsession with like the unknown, dangerous spectacle as well. Like in the details, especially like subconsciously. Daniel Kaluuya's character is called OJ. That's no accident. You know, the most famous OJ is OJ Simpson. And there was a big, you know, murder show trial about that. I don't know if you notice in Jupe's Hidden Museum, there's a poster of the NASA space shuttles. Obviously, there's a very famous...
the Challenger.
Incident with Challenger, where the first female... teacher was going to go up in space. That was all televised, and it blew up on TV, you know, and you know, there's loads of people watching it there as well, even though all the scientists on the day were like, leading up to it, were like, no, it's too fucking dangerous to launch. What are you doing? And they just ignored them, basically. There's loads of documentaries about that. But having that poster there, that's no accident. And even to the point where kind of like Keke Palmer's t-shirt has like a Wile E. Coyote picture on a t-shirt with his eyes like bulging out with love hearts on there. You know, again, there's no way that's an accident.
I feel there is a lot of like hidden detail throughout the film. And also, I mean, I guess you could like eke out maybe a couple more themes in this film. Like if you want the perfect product, you're going to have to do it the hard way. You know what I mean? Like, I think you could eke out that because, you know, they do things the hard way, him and his dad. You know, if you wanted a horse on film, like they'd have to train the horses, wrangle the horses. It's so much easier to do it in CGI, and that's what they end up doing. And then even at the end, like, you know, they don't want to just get any shot. They want to get the best shot. Yeah. And they have that guy who
always wants to get the impossible shot.
You know, he eventually believes them, and he's going to get the shot. You know, this is going to be the highlight of his career. He even gets a good shot, and then the bloody idiot, I guess you could say it's idiocy, it's not good enough. And
He wants it in magic hour.
Climbs the mountain and he ends up giving his life for the great shot, you know?
Yeah. That was a part that I found a little dumb because I was just like, well, you've got the shot already.
I find that personally very stupid. Like, what I would do script-wise differently so that makes sense and isn't infuriating. The problem I have with that scene is he seems like a clever character.
Yeah.
You know, he's not the bike guy. He's well established. He seems like a smart guy. Why the fuck would he do that? You know, that. And if I were to rewrite that, but keep the spirit of it the same, I would have them get the shot, then something happens to that camera, that got the shot, and then he's gun-ho about getting a better shot, and then, you know, he sacrifices himself. But him already having the shot and sacrificing himself just doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah.
And then, you know, his stupidity not only ruins the camera that he brought, but it potentially ruined the second camera, you know, with the, you know, when the thing attacked Angel. So I don't really get that. I would do that differently. But I think probably what it was getting to was that
obsession of getting in.
You have to sort of suffer for the, you have to suffer for perfection.
I mean, what do we make of the end as well? Like, when you seemingly think OJ has died, but, you know, Keke Palmer, it's like, goes on the bike. Some really cool shots, actually, when she skids into like the Western Park.
Do you know what that's a reference to?
No.
It's a very famous anime. I've watched so many clips of it. Akira. Yeah.
Akira,
yeah. So where he does the motorbike slide, a lot of people pointed that out.
Yeah, that looked really cool. I feel like because they had already, well, you know, they kind of survived. Well, they got the shot, even though they kind of lost the footage anyway. And she let go of the massive balloon, so you know the alien is gonna kill that one. But at that point, you're like, well, a lot of the tension is kind of lost a little bit. And yes, it is a little bit convenient that the alien and the balloon is directly above the well camera thing. That was a bit convenient, and you lost a bit of tension there, but it was still Keke Palmer acts her ass off there to make that good, you know.
I think the ending is like, it's cool in principle, and if you don't think about it for more than 5 seconds, it's satisfying. And I had so many problems coming out of that, and even today, where I'm like, was the ending any good? You know? So I do like, you know, several of the things they set up in the ending. Like, one, it's like, this creature is in like its final form, that it may have killed OJ. Like, OJ's trying to sacrifice himself for her. She wants to. I didn't kind of like that back and forth, because I'm like, if you're going to pick somebody to sacrifice, just go for it. I didn't really like where they kept eyeing each other up, where OJ's like, you know, he doesn't have to say it, but I'm going to kill myself for you. And she's like, no, I'm going to kill myself for you. It's like, just pick. Yeah, I didn't like that back and forth too much, because I didn't know what the fuck was going on. No, it really annoyed me. I think you should. I think you should simplify stuff. Like, I know probably in real life, you know, if you both love each other, you're going to argue. But I think one of them has to go, like, just for simplicity's sake, just for the audience, like, I'm going to sacrifice myself. No, I'm going to sacrifice myself. And then you end it. And then the second guy sacrifices himself, or the first guy sacrifices. But they kind of kept going back and forth. I was like, dude, are you going to pick one? You know, are you going to pick one? And especially that I didn't like that the creature kind of waits. It waits for one of them to make a decision, you know, to sort of challenge it. It's like, is this creature like, it really respects the brother-sister dynamic? It wants one of themselves to offer himself. I didn't really like that. I felt like you could have shortened that a lot easier. That as well is like, I do like the principle of she leads it to Jupiter's claim or whatever. And I do like the principle that they set up that there's a camera under the well. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. And I like in principle the balloon trap. You know, they learn that it only attacks things that look straight at it. So because you don't even know what she's doing, she sets the balloon up, and then it attacks the balloon, and you know, the balloon pops and kills it. I like all of these things in principle. I think if you're trying to think if like they kind of organically go together, I don't really think so. I think, you know, that it relies on contrivances to make it work. I don't also understand how the creature just didn't like immediately kill them at the end.
Yeah, but it was a bit fucked up though, wasn't it? It wasn't in its natural form, because they ate a load of what did it
Yeah,
eat?
barbed
Like,
wire.
barbed wire and stuff. So it all kind of like.
I thought that was really clever. I like that. I like that Angel wrapped himself in barbed wire. I thought that was very clever.
It's kind of funny too. Again, like he basically gets
Yeah.
lucky, really lucky, with the blue tarp just going right over him and tumbling down the hill. I mean, if that wasn't there, he's a goner, you know. So.
He's a dead man. Yeah, yeah. He was very, very lucky. Especially if he were to cover himself in barbed wire with no tarp, he would just be like, you know, it'd be better if he got eaten. You know, he'd be skinned alive. So yeah, I think one of the problems I just have is like, because you have to explain that ending by saying that when it peels back and reveals its, you know, inner self, which looks like this, it looks very interesting. Like I didn't even know that was its form for a little while. It took me a bit because I saw all this stuff flapping in the air. And I thought it was like, did they bring tents? Were there tents here? Was there like a circus? I don't remember somebody setting up a circus here. And you're like, no, these giant sheets are like the creature's, you know, body. You know, it's like a giant, like silk made jellyfish or something. and its face, I like that as well. Like it can move its face from the back to the front, and it has this giant eye that looks like a big square. It's like a camera, and you have it doing this constant shutter.
Yeah, like popping out kind of thing.
Like a shutter thing for a camera, yeah, where it's just kind of constantly just going.
Like a fish or something, I don't know.
Yeah. But it's kind of like the eye reminded me of like one of those really old-timey cameras, you know, big box cameras.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. But it's just one of those things that you've got to say, oh, when it gets into that form, it must become an idiot. It must get really, really slow and then really stupid. That's the only way you can make sense of the ending, because I'm like, dude, everything it killed before it turned into that. And that's the most impressive thing. Like, I would think if you're doing a monster movie and it takes on its most impressive form, like that should be where things get dangerous. Yeah. Actually, it's way more of a threat when it's in its 1950s spaceship design. Yeah. Like, it's killing people left, right, and center. And I just find it weird how she just got on the bike and led it there. And you're like, dude, you could see the speeds this thing could get to, and it can't catch you on a bike, you know?
When it swallowed all the barbed wire and stuff near the end and kind of got into that weird, whatever you want to call it, shape. Yeah. I felt like, to me, watching it, it was injured. It wasn't like it was ill. Yeah. It was kind of like it couldn't control itself, kind of thing.
So not at its peak.
So it wasn't moving quickly. You know, it was trying to do what it could to try and kill Daniel Kaluuya at that point. I quite liked that scene when they're kind of doing the eyes thing. Because it kind of
I thought it lasted a bit long.
Resorted back to the early scene because there's kind of a nice connection there, and so I kind of felt the emotion there.
Yeah, I was just saying I like it on an emotional and you know, it kind of goes back to a previous scene, you know, one where they're kids and he got to ride the horse and stuff. But I just don't think it makes sense. It's one of those things where like the monster has to sort of respect their mutual bond for a couple of seconds. Like I would write it maybe differently a little bit. I would have that the monster is kind of out of commission. Like maybe he's laying flat on the ground and they know he's going to get up. Then they have enough time for that exchange. And then when it gets up, it's got a whole ass. Yeah. It's not fucking around. When they did that, like you could argue that maybe it was injured by the barbed wire, but it was up. It was looking at them.
Yeah, but it was definitely moving a lot slower, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it was moving and it was staring right at them. It's like, man, you could even just like go at a snail's pace and you would eat one of these guys. So I just found that a little unbelievable. Okay. And two, if you were gonna, so I think I interpreted it different to you. So when I saw it, you know, open up into this like ultimate form, I kind of just assumed that's its greatest form. I kind of get what you're saying because it makes more sense to the ending where you're saying like, no, maybe that's its kind of, you know, weakened, out of control form or whatever, or it's in distress form. So I didn't get that. Like I got it as like that's its ultimate form. This is its scary form. I think maybe you could do something that makes it a lot clearer. So, you know, maybe. if it looks a lot more injured, if it looks more fucked up, then maybe I could get that. I didn't really even clock on that it was fucked up from the barbed wire. So I was like, I didn't think the barbed wire hurt it. So I was like, man, it should just kill these things. It should just kill them in 2 seconds.
I think it definitely hurt it to make it be like this weird form. But I think the problem I had is the fact that this weird, strange, washing line form wasn't as scary or as intimidating as the 50s spaceship one. I think mainly possibly because of the movement, because it could move fucking quick and kill people really quickly. Whereas this one, it was moving very slow. Yes, bigger, but it wasn't intimidating.
So this is what I say. I think its last form, in my opinion, was the most visually interesting form.
Yeah, visually interesting, but not as scary.
This is what I'm saying, and I think it had the potential to be scary. And personally, I think when you're making a bad guy or whatever, a monster, it doesn't even have to be a monster or a bad guy, and it becomes like the most interesting it can be. Like, it kind of like digivolves or whatever, and it becomes more interesting. I think it should be like more of a threat. You know what I mean? And this is the problem I just had with the ending. Like, it opens up, but then it's less of a threat. So I'm like,
I agree. Yeah.
I'm like, dude, that you really dropped your bot. So I would have done it differently in 2 ways. Either, make it clear that this is, it is definitely weaker, but then I would think you should make it visually less interesting. Or alternatively, have it go gung. So there's 3 options. There's either that it gets wounded and it becomes less visually interesting, then you know it's getting fucked up. 2, have it the whole last scene, have it look like that. Like, let it eat the guy in the motorbike looking like that. Let it just fuck up everybody looking like that, because then at the end, okay, this form means business.
It's pissed off now.
Yeah, it's pissed off. This means business, because it gets to that form and it doesn't kill anybody, and it becomes incompetent.
Kills the balloon.
Yeah. And it eats the balloon.
That poor balloon.
Yeah. So do you know what I mean? So if you're going to do like this is its final form, it's got to do something amazing to justify turning into that. Alternatively, like, if it's more of a threat, if it does that and it changes, they need to think of a more creative way, I would think, to kill it. That you make it more of a threat, but they have to be even more clever to avoid it. And I just don't think the film does that, because their clever thing to avoid it is she gets on a motorbike, he gets on a horse. It's like, man, if this was the creature from just 10 minutes ago, it would catch you like that. Go to Jupiter's claim, it should catch you like that, like on the way, and fucking destroy you. Like, because that's what the ship was doing. The ship was quick.
Well, they learned not to look at it, so there's that was quite a good device, though, of like not learning the fact that they learned that he shouldn't look at it, and he gets that idea from the commercial that he's like, no, please don't look in his eyes, and he's like, oh shit, don't look at it.
I thought that was a clever reveal.
Yeah, it goes right back to like even like Greek, was it Jason and the Argonauts with Medusa? Like, don't look at Medusa, otherwise you're going to turn into stone. So that was quite cool.
That's Perseus, by the way.
Yeah, whatever. Okay. Is it? Okay, Jason and the Argonauts is the golden sleeve thing, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's golden sleeve. Yeah, it's the skeletons, the army of skeletons, and
Ray Harryhausen.
The dragon, but it's no Medusa. Oh, what was it? Yeah. I do like when they discover that. He discovers you don't look at it directly. I even like when that happens, because it's the day after the attack and they think the creature's gone, and he's trying to get them to leave the house and get into the van.
Yeah.
So he like plays the music on the van, and obviously the electricity is working, so the creature must not be here. And then I love that reveal, because then the radio starts to like lessen in noise, and you're like, oh shit, you can't even see the thing, and it's there. And then it starts to like peek its saucer shape out of the clouds, and you're like, shit. And it slowly goes right over him, the camera, and he goes right down. And I love how it just puts that flashback, like cuts away, and then that flashback, it's like, don't look in the horse's eye. And then he just realized. And then I love at the end where they're kind of trying to trick it. And he has the eyes on the back of his hoodie. Like, that's really clever. I quite like that.
And I quite like the fact that when they use the
Yeah, the flaming arm, inflatable arm, flailing tube men, or whatever.
Whatever they're bloody called.
Inflatable arm, flailing tube man.
Yeah, that was a really cool device to trick it when the fact that if they kind of turned off, they knew it was around. But they've got faces on them as well.
Yeah, I quite like that.
So it was a double-edged sword. So when it's on the ground, it's still got a face. You're like, oh shit, run! Didn't think about that.
Yeah, because you can understand why the biker would die. He has no idea what the fuck's going on. So he looks straight up.
Yeah.
But all of the other characters, you're like, man, you should know better. You're completely invisible to this thing if you just look down. And I do agree. I thought it was very clever where the inflatable men that they use to, gauge where it is have faces. And I like that reveal of the things right above, I think it's Angel. Yeah, I think that it's right above Angel, and he's looking down, and then you see the inflatable thing. It just moves to its side, and he sees the eyes, that it's got eyes, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And it fucking takes him. I thought that was so clever. So that they're not even safe, not looking at it, because all of these things they've got round also are looking straight up. That was pretty clever.
I think the other scene that I really liked was the first kind of proper scary scene, I guess, was when you later find out it's the kids just dressed up as aliens. That really freaked me out. I was like, oh my God, when it just slowly stands up, and then the head kind of just slowly peeks round the corner. And I love how much time Jordan Peele, the fact that he keeps the shot going for so long, before it's revealed, fully revealed, and then it reverses to just a kid popping out and he punches him in the face.
I thought it was hilarious how it went from serious to just fucking funny comedy immediately, and it was just this one bit where you've got all this just music building and the shot, and it's lingering, and there's panic, and it's getting quite close to David Kaluuya, and it's tracking these creatures. And then one of their heads pop out of the stable, and he just punches him in the face.
Yeah.
And then it's music cuts out, and the kid's, ow, you hit me. And then you're like, oh, okay, I get what's happening.
Yeah, I was a bit pissed off at Peele there, because I'm like, you bloody got me there, you little bastard.
Yeah. I quite also liked, so there are a few jump scares. I would say, I think the most horrific thing isn't a jump scare. I think it's when the people of Jupiter's Claim are being devoured.
Oh yeah, it's that scene. It's that shot, really. I was like, oh my God.
To me, that scene is the most horrifying. And I find that great, because most of the build up to that scene, a lot of the scares are jump scares. So you think, okay, is this what this film is going to do? In lieu of actual scares, it's just going to provide jump scares. They're good jump scares, but they are jump scares. Yeah. But I think the most horrifying moment is not a jump scare. It's an earned, really long, this is horrifying, and it's done in such a way which it kind of, really hammers home how fucking horrifying this is, where it's devouring 40 people. Yeah. It doesn't do a jump scare there.
I think the other aspect I quite liked about this film is all the characters are very complicit in their obsession of spectacle, all of them, because even in that scene, OJ has whipped his camera phone out and recording it. He wants to record it as well. Yeah. Yes, possibly for evidence, but surely you would kind of want to just get the fuck out of there as soon as you can, not just record it. And obviously all the other characters, his sister really wants to record the UFO. Obviously the cinematographer, everyone else is obsessed. So I just quite like that all the characters are complicit in their obsession of spectacle, which is quite nice. Even though you just have that one moment for OJ, that was a great touch.
Yeah, I think there is one moment with Angel where I don't think everybody at the table buys his explanation, because I thought that was interesting to leave it ambiguous, and I think you're right. Whether they're doing the right thing, or even at this moment, are they still just chasing, after something amazing? It's are they doing the right thing? But where they're around the dinner table discussing the plan, and he just goes, and Angel just kind of goes, "Are we doing the right thing?
Yeah.
If we take a picture of this will stop people coming here, right? And we'll save lives." And I just think that Kaluuya's character OJ didn't even consider that, but he kind of goes, yeah, like, yeah, this will save people. I don't even think it even crossed his mind.
There is an element of kind of just they want to just kind of save themselves, just physically, but also financially as well. Like, we'll get the picture and just get a shit ton of money, sell the images, and move on with our lives. Yeah. I feel like as well, Jordan Peele is kind of a really sneaky director because obviously you have that amazing shot while the opening credits roll, and you obviously have this weird vent thing, and you're just like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I really like that.
And obviously you later find out it's the actual alien from the inside.
Yeah, I love that. It looks like you're just looking through a wind tunnel or something. Or what are you looking through? Or maybe it's like a kid's slide or something inside a bouncy castle, and you're looking through sheets. I don't know what I'm looking at. And then it keeps going down this wind tunnel thing, and you get to, the images of, the black man on the racehorse, which they say is their great-great-great-grandfather or something. And even at the beginning, I'm like, what is that? And then when you get to the real action, I do love that reveal where it turns out that in the opening credits, that was the inside of the creature. I think that's great, where you build up everybody wanting to get a picture of the creature, and you're building up this creature, which everybody thinks is a UFO at this point. And you're getting like slight looks of it, but not quite.
Like, you've seen it in detail quite a lot already.
Yeah, but it turns out when they were swallowed, at the beginning of the film, you saw the most intimate detail of it, and you didn't even know. You saw from inside its,
He does a similar thing at the start of Us, where there's a really long push-in of a load of rabbits.
Oh, I remember that.
Obviously, that's like the subway, the underground area of the tethered. So there's kind of a similarity there because obviously you don't know what you're seeing, and then it cuts to the normal story. So I quite like that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do think that's a really clever direction technique to essentially, in the opening credits, show the audience something that is vital to the story.
Without context.
It's out of context, so nobody has any clue what the hell they're looking at. And then later it's revealed. I think that's quite satisfying. That was a very satisfying point in the film.
It's interesting as well with this film. I think there is an element of the issue of race here, but it's not like front and center. You have like it comes up a few times with the whole thing that the first recorded image was of a black man riding a horse for 2 seconds, and that's their great-great-great-grandfather or whatever. But that's all you kind of get in terms of that. Because obviously kind of he touches upon that a lot more in Us and Get Out. But so it's interesting that he kind of... It's in there, but it's not front and center. It's just very mild, I guess.
So I would agree. I would say the main themes for me are like spectacle, respecting nature, and even just like filmmaking as a craft.
Yeah.
So I would get those as the main themes, but I do think there is a racial theme, but I do agree with you. It's like, it's a little hidden away, and it's not as front and center as his two previous films, despite, there being mostly a black cast in this as well. And I would say like the racial thing is about black people in the history of American cinema.
Yeah. And
them kind of getting snubbed or forgotten about. So, as you said, they do say about, their great-great-grandfather was the first black actor, black stuntman. No, not even black. He was the first actor, first stuntman, first recorded image. And, like, nobody remembers, black people's, like, central point in the film industry. They also have like a business that's been going on a long time, rearing horses, and they're not really appreciated for everything that their father has built. Not celebrated as not enough, and they're poor and stuff. Then you also have like when they decide to get the image, Kalula OJ is very much like, we need to get this image, otherwise tomorrow more people will come here and they'll claim that image. And to me, I think that's them saying, like, this event happened on our property. Yeah. It happened to us. We're the most hurt by this. We've put the most effort into getting this on film. we're not going to have that thunder sort of taken away, like, you know, how it's taken away before. And especially, you know, when the TMZ guy, he doesn't know what's going on. He's sunk no cost into this, and he was going to come and take the shot, almost like take it from them. And even though you don't see his race under the helmet, I think it's, you know, it's probably like, oh, he's white, and, you know, it would be a way to snub the black man in an important historical moment in cinema, like, again. So I think it would, if I were to say a theme, racial theme, I would still link it to cinema, and I would link it to black people's importance in the history of cinema being overlooked.
I think that is a great way to end our chat on Nope.
Yeah, I heard one comparison to it that I quite like, that it's essentially like Jaws, but Sky Jaws. I quite like that, because it is hiding between the
Close Encounters.
Yeah. Do you know what I think would be a great twist that they should have added to the film if the creature wasn't an alien? I think that would be cool. Like, I don't know how you'd pull that off, but I think if the creature wasn't an alien, I think that would be a cool twist.
Well, somehow man-made kind of thing.
No. That it's a part of the natural world, just like, you know, the horse, and just
haven't discovered it.
Yeah, just like the chimpanzee, it's just a part of the natural world.
Okay,
and it just wants to be like left alone. It wants its territory, and these people are trying to like fucking prod it.
Move out from the cloud, man! Move.
Yeah, I think that would be very interesting. I think it would fit the themes, at least the theme I think, which is respect nature. If this thing actually is a natural occurrence, so I think what I would do differently is like make that. So in my headcanon, that's my headcanon. That this thing is a natural animal.
I do feel like Jordan Peele, like coming up with this idea, there must be some sort of traumatic event in his life, in I don't know, in terms of hot air balloons or something falling on him, or like getting stuck and lost in his mum's laundry in the garden or something. Just like, oh my God, I can't escape.
Actually, can I know you said we're going to end it there, but could I just say, what are your general opinions on how the thing died? That it died by eating a balloon?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah, I guess the hot air balloon kind of just exploded inside it, I guess.
Yeah, I personally don't have a problem with it. You know, I don't even think she knew that was going to happen. Like, because I remember I saw this one review, and this guy was very critical on, like, one, how did she know that would happen? And why did that balloon kill it? Like, that was underwhelming. But I'm like, this thing is not a metal spaceship.
No. Well, you learn throughout the film that, like, flags, horses... Well, throughout minute one, you know that things like non-human things, non-organic stuff hurts it. It doesn't want it. Yeah. You get that from the first scene when his dad dies, like the coin goes right into his face.
Yeah, absolutely. And even when the fake horse is stuck in like its windpipe, what adds to the horror why it takes so long for it to digest the people is because that thing is stuck in it. It like only is able to do it when it throws that thing
It's like
out.
when you get a piece of apple skin in your teeth, you're like, oh, fuck.
I think it would be interesting if like the blood isn't the human blood, because maybe that's like a, you know, where it bleeds all over the house. What if it's blood from having all that shit caught in it, like the rusty keys and the horse and everything? But I thought it was kind of clever. You know, the balloon explodes in its stomach. I thought that looked pretty cool as well. So I got no problem with it.
Cool. I think we'll leave it there then on that note.
I just want to... I'm sorry, I keep adding things. So I would also add...
I'll do it for a third time.
One thing I would change is I would make his sister and not OJ the main focus of the film. I think she's like way more interesting than OJ.
Well, I do like the dynamic between them, that he's a very shy and just wants to get on with life type character, whereas Keke Palmer is kind of just like, I want to do stuff with my life. I don't want to get out of this house, and just bundles of energy. I just quite like their dynamic. So I don't have a problem with that.
I think it's an interesting dynamic, but I said I don't have a problem with the dynamic. I would have made her the main character, is what I'm saying.
I feel like she was kind of the main character. I think they shared the most screen time.
No, I agree. If you're talking about portion of screen time, I think OJ gets the most. So if I were going to name anybody a main character, I think it would be OJ, and maybe she's like a secondary main character. But I think I would just switch that around.
I don't agree with that, really.
Okay, fair enough. But in my personal opinion, I think it focuses too much on him, and it should have focused more on her. I think that would be my only other kind of gripe.
Right.
Like, I think she's a far more interesting character.
No, I don't agree. I think they're equally interesting in their very different ways, and they.
Okay, then we'll agree to disagree. Kind of just
they're both very compelling in different ways, and I feel like they're both main characters. You know, I don't think one gets more than the other. It's just they're just different. You know.
I'll stand by what I said.
I'll stand by what I said.
Yeah.
Right. We'll finally end it there. For me, it's definitely.
And there's this other thing. No, I'm joking. Let's go.
It's definitely one of the best films I've seen this year. It's really well done. I love Jordan Peele.
I did really, really enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, because of Us, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's partly because of that.
So I would probably go. To be honest, I would probably put. Even though I've seen it a few times now.
Yeah.
I would probably still go Get Out number 1, Us 2, and Nope 3. But the bar for Peele films is extremely high. These 3 films are really well made, really, really good. So, you know, the gap between these films, well, probably not Get Out, but the gap between Us and Nope is paper thin, I would say, for me.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I think it's above Us by a country mile. I still don't like it.
All right. Cool. Right. Yeah. Bye-bye, people. And it's bye-bye from Boaz, who hopefully is not looking for the probe again.
I don't need to look for it. I know where it is. It's up my ass.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye. That's it for this week's pod. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. But don't stop there. Get involved and tell us what your favourite films are relating to the episodes. Send us a DM or comment on Instagram and TikTok at Film vs. Film Podcast, for Twitter at FVF_podcast. If you do, we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. If you're feeling really generous, you can buy us a one-off coffee at our Buy Me a Coffee account. Remember, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Pod signing off.